Hey guys, Gaming Off the Grid here. The new Sega Genesis Classics game is out, and so we decided to get a hold of one of our really good friends who's an expert in all things Sega. And I just want to ask you, what did you think?
I enjoyed it. There was a lot of games to play, but I just felt there was a few that were missing.
That's why we brought you here today. You brought along a fistful of titles that are incredible, and they hold up very, very well today, so we're excited to share our thoughts.
We're also going to drink some beer, like usual. Today we're drinking a beer by Confluence, Capital Gold.
It's a lager from a great Des Moines brewery, so excited to share our thoughts with you.
So sit back, relax, pour yourself a beer if you care to, and enjoy this episode of Gaming Off the Grid.
All right, let's get a toast here quick. I'm really excited about shooting this episode. Brian, thanks for coming over. We're right on the heels of the release of the Sega Genesis Classics, and the first person that came to my mind, because I was pretty happy with that game. You were too,
Yeah,
right?
I was very happy with it.
But I was like, I got to get a hold of Brian, because he's going to know whether this thing was a good collection or not. You mentioned in the intro that you did like it, but you brought over some games today that were pretty epic.
I mean, I thought it was pretty all-inclusive, but there were just a few things missing, I felt.
Yeah, so all the games we're going to mention today are Genesis exclusives, right?
Right.
It was very, very impressive. So there's a few games on here that I had never heard of.
Yeah, I hadn't even heard of any of these games.
Yeah, and a lot of these you've had since you were a kid.
I have. My dad pretty much bought me most of these.
Let's jump right into it here. What is the first game you want to talk about today?
I'd like to talk about Shadowrun the Forever Man. It's a platforming game, single player. Probably my favorite part about it is you don't get a game over. You can't die. He's the Forever Man.
Yeah, so you're just going to go back out till there's almost like a lobby where you can go to different windows.
Which is cool because you revisit levels. It's very unique.
It encourages multiple playthroughs for levels because there's certain things, if you don't have a certain item, right? You can't progress until you get that item, and then you have to go back in and play the level again. It's not really a linear game either. It's kind of like a Metroidvania type, right? You can go forward, backward, up, down, all over the place. Robert and I spent a lot of time playing it this morning. The jumping was a little tough, and then you came over and introduced us to the double jump. We played it for about an hour and a half and didn't even know that existed. We're horrible.
We're idiots.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But the game looks really cool. The sound is awesome. There's a song in it that I would use as my entrance song if I was a professional wrestler, and I would probably win every match if I came out to that song because it's pretty epic. But I think it's definitely a game that you guys should go check out. You agree?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, and obviously you do because you're the one who brought it over. So Shadowrun the Forever Man, definitely check that one out. Rocket Knight Adventures is a game you brought over as well. It's a Konami game, and gotta be honest, haven't heard of it. I feel like I've seen the cover maybe from when I was a kid, but I don't ever remember playing it. So what's it all about?
Yeah, you get to play as a Sparkster. He's an opossum. You're trying to save the kingdom from the pigs.
He's whatever he is, a mouse, possum, whatever. I don't recall him playing dead. He's all about action. He flies around, he tangles his tail on branches, kind of a hack and slash type vibe. You're just throwing this boomerang thing. What did you think of it?
I thought it was pretty sweet. One of my favorite parts of the game is when you kill like the bad guys or like the pigs or whatever, their armor flies off and they're just in their underwear, and it's pretty fun.
Of course you would like that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, pigs in underwear.
Yep, there we go. All right. Oh, whoa. Okay. But no, all jokes aside, it was a really good game. It's fairly common and available, just like Shadowrun. Both those games are pretty easy to find, and obviously it's exclusive. Konami was on fire at this point. Their early day run, we're not going to say what we think of them nowadays, but they were on fire at one point, and this was in their heyday when they were firing on all cylinders. So thank you so much for showing us this game.
Yeah.
The third game you brought over was Road Rash 2.
It's a motorcycle racing game where you can beat them up, take their weapons, upgrade your bikes, take on cops if you want to.
Yeah, and obviously, why wouldn't you want to? So it's pretty awesome. There's a lot of barriers. I was watching you guys run into cars. You have to run back to your bike or to your bike, wherever that thing ends up. And
so if you crash and your bike flies, you have to literally run to it. It takes a while.
I think the funniest part, Robert, I don't know what you call it, died or crashed, blew up his vehicle, and the ambulance comes out. They back up, and the paramedics get out with a gurney, and they put the bike on the gurney and put that in the back of the ambulance and left you in the field to die.
I was just laying there.
Yeah.
It is good to note, though, that out of all the games on this list, this is a 2-player game. So you can play single player, or you can do 2-player split screen, and you can beat each other up.
What was the next game you brought over?
Shadowrun. I call it an action RPG. Make your character. It's got magic, weapons, armor, cybernetic implants. I would call it a first game of its kind.
I did notice it's got that top-down camera view from like the early days of Grand Theft Auto, which was pretty neat. I felt like the graphics and everything were really good. This version is exclusive to the Genesis, but they did make another version, right?
Right. They released that one for Super Nintendo, but it was toned down just a little bit. Censored, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, a little different camera angle. Nintendo was a family-friendly company. They still are. I remember having a Super Nintendo and getting Mortal Kombat 2, and all of the neighbors had the Genesis. And I put it in. I was so excited to finally get it. And I landed an uppercut, and my characters had blue blood. Pretty sure, blue or green. One of the two. But it wasn't red, and I felt pretty robbed. And I think there were some kids that maybe felt that way about this game. So the consensus is this is kind of the superior game. There are a few people out there, though, that still think that Super Nintendo game is pretty good. But this one is exclusive to the Genesis, and it's a lot of fun.
The last game you brought over is probably my favorite of the 5, Splatterhouse 3.
I'm going to agree with that. It was a way awesome game. How long have you known about this game? Did you get it way back when it came out?
I'm not sure if I got it when it came out, but I got it probably back when I was 8 or 9. My dad got it for me.
And 1, you have an awesome dad. 2, yeah, 8 years old playing a game like this. There's a lot of blood. It's pretty violent.
It's very gory and disturbing, kind of.
It is. So it's a beat 'em up, but it's got some horror elements to it. And there's a story, and a lot of beat 'em ups don't have much of a story. You just beat the hell out of things. You just go through the levels, beat up whatever's around you, and you just progress through the game. This definitely has a driving story to it. Tell us a little bit about the story.
Yeah, so you're Rick, and what you're trying to do is save your wife and your son from the abyss, which is basically hell.
You got to save your family. Little Kevin McAllister, it's kind of sad. I think it's stage 3. He's in his room. He's home alone.
That's a good joke. But I don't think his name is Kevin.
What is it?
It's David.
Okay, well, Kevin's alone in his room, and a hand comes onto the wall, and that's when I started really getting tugged into the game because I was like, I gotta save this kid. You know, I can't let anything bad happen. Poor little Kevin.
David. The beer. What do you guys think?
I was okay with it. Kind of tried selecting something right down the middle. You know, you've said you're not a huge fan of beer. You'll drink beer occasionally. So we tried getting something. I'm really into stouts. He's really into IPAs. Those are not great beers for people who aren't into beer because it would just smother the palate. So I went with a golden lager, and it gave a little more flavor off than I thought it would. I thought it was going to be pretty, I don't know, not much going on, but I've enjoyed it. What'd you think?
This is like the first time we've never agreed on a beer. I am not a big fan of this. It's alright, it's decent, but it's just kind of bland to me. I'm used to like IPAs, you know, with a lot of flavor and hoppiness, and this just is kind of lame.
If you have to compare it to other releases from Confluence, I will go with you on this, that they have set the bar very, very high for themselves. They are one of the better breweries in the area that we live, and I don't know that this falls in line with that stuff, but so anyway, we have a mixed bag on the reaction here. We're okay to not really enjoying it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're in the area and you want an easy drinker, possibly pick this up. But if you see the name Confluence, there's probably some other brews you would want to go with probably before you would go with this one, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. So those are 5 games that were not on the collection. Just want to thank you again for coming over. These games are sweet, and I definitely wish that collection had them.
Yeah, they play very, very well today. So yeah, it was awesome to have you on the channel. Hopefully we can have you on again in the future. If you know of any games that we may have missed, enlighten us. Drop them in the comments section below. Smash the subscribe button. Like the video if you can. We're just getting this channel off the ground. Show Brian some love because we really appreciate him coming on this episode.
Yeah, so keep gaming, keep drinking, and we'll see you next time.
Hey guys, Gaming Off the Grid here. Yes, it's a lager out of the Des Moines-based brewery Confluence, and it's very good. It's going to be a good time sitting down with 3 good friends. I love 2 good friends, 3 good friends. What's the best way to 3 good friends? Am I considering myself my own friend?
Just say like 5 good friends.
Okay. And talking about some video games. Hey guys, Gaming Off the Grid here. Don't stop it. Don't stop it. We'll just fucking whack it. We'll whack that son of a bitch. You're drinking. Oh, I thought you were drinking the beer. Fuck.
That would be funny if I was over.
Yes, it's a pretty basic lager out of a Des Moines